Hello, listeners, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Storyteller. So, I hope that all of you are doing great and all of you are eager to learn something new. That's why today I am here with our new story. How much land does a man require? So, this is a very moralful and interesting story. So, before moving towards our story, if you like my voice or like this story, so please do subscribe to our channel. So, now let's move towards it. An elder sister came to visit her younger sister in the country. The elder was married to a tradesman in town, the younger to a peasant in the village. As the sisters sat over their tea talking, the elder began to boast of the advantages of town life, saying how comfortably they lived there, how well they dressed, what fine clothes her children wore, what good things they ate and drank, and how she went to the theatre, promenades, and entertainments. The younger sister was piqued and in turn dispraised the life of a tradesman and stood up for that of a peasant. I would not change my way of life of yours, said she. We may live roughly, but at least we are free from anxiety. You live in better style than we do, but though you often earn more than you need, you are very likely to lose all you have. You know the proverb, lose and gain are brothers twain. It often happens that people who are wealthy one day are begging their bread the next. Our way is safer, though a peasant's life is not a fat one, it is a long one. We shall never grow rich, but we shall always have enough to eat, the elder sister said serenely. Enough, yes, if you like to share with the pigs and the cows. What do you know of elegance or manners? However much your good man may slave, you will die as you are living on a dung heap, and your children the same. Well, what of that? Replied the younger. Of course, our work is rough and coarse, but on the other hand, it is sure and we need not bow to anyone. But you in your towns are surrounded by temptations. Today all may be right, but tomorrow the evil one may tempt your husband with cards, wine, or woman, and all will go to ruin. Don't such things happen often enough? Pom, the master of the house, was lying on the top of the oven, and he listened to the woman's chatter. It is perfectly true, thought he. Busy as we are from childhood tilling Mother Earth, we peasants have no time to let any nonsense settle in our heads. Our only trouble is that we haven't land enough. If I had plenty of land, I shouldn't fear the devil himself. The women finished their tea, chattered a while about dress, and then cleared away the tea things and lay down to sleep. But the devil had been sitting behind the oven and had heard all that was said. He was pleased that the peasant's wife had led her husband into boasting, and that he had said that if he had plenty of land, he would not fear the devil himself. All right, thought the devil, we will have a tussle. I'll give you land enough, and by means of that land, I will get you into my power. Close to the village, there lived a lady, a small landowner who had a estate of about 300 acres. She had always lived on a good terms with the peasants until she engaged as her steward an old soldier who took burdening the people with fines. However careful Baum tried to be, it happened again and again that now a horse of his got among the lady's oats. Now a cow strayed into her garden. Now his slaves found their way into her meadows, and he always had to pay a fine. Baum paid, but grumbled, and going home in a temper, was rough with his family all through summer. Baum had much trouble because of his steward, and he was even glad when winter came and the cattle had to be stabled. Though he greeded the fodder when they could no longer graze on the pasture land, at least he was free from anxiety about them. In the winter, the news got about that the lady was going to sell her land, and that the keeper of the inn on the high road was bargaining for it. When the peasants heard this, they were very much alarmed. Well, thought they, if the innkeeper gets the land, he will worry us with fines, worse than the lady's steward. We all depend on that estate. So the peasants went on behalf of their commune and asked the lady not to sell the land to the innkeeper, offering her a better price for it themselves. The lady agreed to let them have it. Then the peasants tried to arrange for the commune to buy the whole estate so that it might be held by all in common. They met twice to discuss it, but could not settle the matter. The evil one sowed discord among them, and they could not agree. So they decided to buy the land individually, each according to this means, and the lady agreed to this plan as she had to the other. Presently, Pom heard that a neighbor of his was buying 50 acres and that the lady had consented to accept one half in cash and to wait a year for the other half. Pom felt envious. Look at that, thought he. The land is all being sold, and I shall get none of it. So he spoke to his wife. Other people are buying, said he, and we must also buy 20 acres or so. Life is becoming impossible. That steward is simply crushing us with his fines. So they put their heads together and considered how they would manage to buy it. They had 100 rubles laid by. They sold a colt and one half of their bees, hired out one of their sons as a laborer and took his wages in advance, borrowed the rest from a brother in law, and so scraped it together half the purchase money. Having done this, Palm chose out a farm of 40 acres, some of it wooded, and went to the lady to bargain for it. They came to an agreement, and he shook hands with her upon it and paid her a deposit in advance. Then they went to town and signed the deeds, he paying half the price down and undertaking to pay the remainder within 2 years. Now Tom had land of his own. He borrowed seed and sowed it on the land he had bought. The harvest was a good one, and within a year he had managed to pay off his debts both to the lady and to his brother in law. So he became a landowner, plowing and sowing his own land, making hay on his own land, cutting his own trees, and feeding his cattle on his own pasture. When he went out to plow his fields or to look at his growing corn, for at his grass meadows, his heart would fill up with joy. The grass that grew and the flowers that bloomed there seemed to him unlike any that grew elsewhere. Formerly, when he had passed by that land, it had appeared the same as any other land, but now it seemed quite different. So Pahom was contented, and everything would have been right if the neighboring peasants would only not have trespassed on his cornfields and meadows. He appealed to them most civilly, but they still went on. Now the communal herdsman would let the village cows stray into his meadows. Then horses from the night pasture would get among his corn. Pom turned them out again and again and forgave their owners, and for a long time he forbore for persecuting anyone. But at last he lost patience and complained to the district court. He knew it was the peasants' want of land and no evil intent on their part that caused the trouble. But he thought, I cannot go on overlooking it, or they will destroy all I have. They must be taught a lesson. So he had them up, gave them one lesson, and then another, and 2 or 3 of the peasants were fined. After a time, Pom's neighbor began to bear him a grudge for this, and would now and then let their cattle onto his land on purpose. One peasant even got into Pom's wood at night and cut down 5 young lime trees for their bark. Pom, passing through the wood, one day noticed something white. He came nearer and saw the stripped trunks lying on the ground, and close by stood the stumps where the tree had been. Pom was furious. If he had only cut one here and there, it would have been bad enough, thought Pom. but the rascal has actually cut down a whole clump. If I could only found out who did this, I would pay him out. He racked his brains as to who it could be. Finally, he decided it must be Simone. No one else could have done it. So he went to Simone's homestead to have a look round, but he found nothing and only had an angry scene. However, he now felt more certain than ever that Simone had done it, and he lodged a complaint. Simone was summoned, the case was tried and retried, and at the end of it all, Simone was acquitted, there being no evidence against him. Pom felt still more aggressive and let his anger loose upon the elder and the judges. You let thieves grease your palms, said he. If you were honest folk yourselves, you would not let a thief go free. So Pom quarreled with the judges and with his neighbors. Threats to burn his building began to be uttered. So, though Pom had more land, his place in the commune was much worse than before. But about this time, a rumor got about that many people were moving to new parts. There's no need for me to leave my land, thought Paum, but some of the others might leave our village, and then there would be more room for us. I would take over their land myself and make my estate a bit bigger. I could then live more at ease. As it is, I am still too cramped to be comfortable. One day, Paum was sitting at home when a peasant passing through the village happened to call in. He was allowed to stay the night, and supper was given him. Paum had a talk with this peasant and asked him where he came from. The stranger answered that he came from the beyond the Volga where he had been walking. One word led to another, and the man went on to say that many people were settling in those parts. He told how some people from his village had settled there. They had joined the commune and had 25 acres per man granted them. The land was so good, he said, that the raisin on it grew as high as a horse and so thick that 5 cuts of a sickle made a sieve. One peasant, he said, had brought nothing with him but his bare hands, and now he had 6 horses and 2 cows of his own. Paum's heart melted with desire. He thought, why should I suffer in these narrow holes if one can live so well elsewhere? I will sell my land and my homestead here, and with the money I will start afresh over there and get everything new. In this crowded place, one is always having trouble, but I must first go and find out all about it myself. Towards summer, he got ready and started. He went down the Volga on a steamer to Samara, then walked another 300 miles on foot and at last reached the place. It was just as the stranger had said. The peasants had plenty of land. Every man had 25 acres of communal land given him for his use, and anyone who had money could buy besides at 2 shillings as much good freehold land as he wanted. Having found out all he wished to know, Palm returned home as autumn came on and began selling off his belongings. He sold his land at a profit, sold his homestead and all his cattle, and withdrew from membership of the commune. He only waited till the spring and then started with his family for the new settlement. As soon as Paum and his family arrived at their new abode, he appealed for admission into the commune of a large village. So, because this story is too long, so rest of the part we will read on our next part 2. I hope that all of you like this story. So please do like, share, subscribe and comment on our channel. Thanks for listening and wait for the second part.